Laura Dogu, Chief of Mission of United States Embassy, has arrived into Maiquetía Airport. Foreign Minister of Venezuela claims to have received her, however, there is no evidence. He usually shows pictures of him meeting with high-level officials or photos of him and his counterpart in telephone conversations. We only have proof provided by United States Embassy of Ambassador Dogu arriving into Maiquetía on her way to Valle Arriba neighborhood. We continue perceiving no willingness on Foreign Minister Ivan Gil personally engaging in constructive relationship with Laura Dogu. Let's see what the next few days will provide. And on the part of Ambassador Dogu, we don't see any interest in dealing with Venezuelan society either. When you scan through social media of the United States Embassy in Venezuela, you only see United States officials and luminaries living at diaspora abroad. While Delcy Rodriguez and Donald Trump get along well, such high-level relationship has not been extensive to lower levels of government or economic and social circles. Pending work to fully restore relations between United States and Venezuela as they used to be a few decades ago is gigantic. Vasily Nevencia, permanent ambassador of Russia at the United Nations, is rumored to have been fired. His most recent appearance at United Nations Security Council addresses his non-conformity with New World Order provided by the United States as it effectively extracted former dictator Nicolás Maduro out of Venezuela. It sounds like Russia is not actively pursuing continuity of relations with Delcy Rodriguez, and instead, a month after extraction events, Vasily Nevencia continues complaining about Venezuelan military not fighting to defend Nicolás Maduro. The Venezuelan army is not supposed to defend one person. The Venezuelan army was supposed to defend a country. During the incursion, the highest authorities, both politically and militarily, in Venezuela decided that it was for the best interest of a country not to engage into an endless war, which would probably entail many Venezuelan casualties. Along with the fact that Chinese, Iranian, and Russian expensive weaponry did not work as advertised. Still, Vasily Nevencia is complaining about what Venezuelan military should or should not have done. That is foreign interference in domestic affairs of Venezuela, and Russia might have to fight a little bit more to recover some influence in Venezuela, just as China and India are already engaging with the United States regarding their continued purchases of Venezuelan petroleum under United States distribution systems. Carlos Melo produced criticism to non-governmental organizations such as Foro, Penal, and Transparencia Venezuela, which have constantly been providing statistics and records of political prisoners as if they were institutionally cooperating to their defense or liberation. Such non-governmental organizations receive money from foreign governments, and they make a living for a handful of lawyers who are interested in the continuity of political prisoners in jail. As most political prisoners will be released within the next few days due to forthcoming amnesty law that will be passed by Venezuelan National Assembly, non-governmental organizations will shift their focus to accusations of former Nicolás Maduro in New York court. It sounds like the Cartel de los Soles accusation is not fading well in the United States judicial system, and focus of accusation is being shifted into violations of human rights, as narratives have already been prepared by Transparencia Venezuela and Foro Penal, which will guarantee for these organizations steady income of interested political funding. Many of these organizations are not pleased of having Delcy Rodriguez as interim president because Venezuela now has the chance of becoming a well-managed capitalistic country full of private enterprise, which would decrease popularity and relevance of humanitarian catastrophic aid organizations in the business of pursuing permanent chaos narratives. Political prisoners have also been treated as a trending topic, while common prisoners, which comprise the vast majority of ordinary crimes, do not receive so much attention. Venezuela's judicial system is slow, and several times verdicts are sentenced to common prisoners many years after having already served their full prison term. Now that political prisoners are slowly being released, they will try to shift their attention into an electoral campaign for presidential elections and parliamentary elections that are not scheduled until the year 2030. Juan Barreto expressed that such elections will be needed eventually. However, journalist Mario Villegas took these words out of context and suggested a 180-day window. Jaime Bailey was a bit more accommodating and suggested that Venezuelan elections would be held within 2 years before the end of Donald Trump's term. Venezuela's constitution does not allow for Venezuelan elections according to United States presidential terms. Delcy Rodriguez had actually to remind the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, that his level of involvement should be restricted to the energy industry deals, as negotiations are not being made with Chris Wright regarding Venezuelan political affairs. That is being done through the State Department and the President of the United States. Venezuela's Supreme Tribunal of Justice has already declared that Delcy Rodriguez is serving as acting president because Nicolás Maduro's absence comes due to a reason which was not previewed on constitutional text. There will be politicians pushing for early elections. Such politicians will be strongly confronted and they will be signaled as opponents to the Venezuelan constitutional terms, especially when the system of government in Venezuela today is efficient and is placing corrupts into jail and releasing innocents. Most of the laws that are to be reformed in Venezuela are necessary, and Venezuela has no need in wasting time for petty politicking, especially when those who are involved in petty politicking are career politicians who were unable to achieve anything during their entire lives. Some opposition commentators would like law of external commotion to be taken away, and they would also extinguish law against hatred. Law on external commotion is temporary and perhaps would not be extended once it expires, while law against hatred should remain, especially as discourse in social media remains absolutely toxic. Proponents of the opposition use defamatory and derogatory language against their political opponents. There are still supporters of a second wave of invasion, and there are claims to send a lot of new people in jail while their own political prisoners are about to be freed. The level of discourse must be shifted into a peaceful tone. Too much hatred is being vomited into the national discourse, and law-abiding citizens who engage in peaceful activities need to be protected from warmongers' hatred. Therefore, law against hatred should be cherished as it provides a specific different purpose than new proposed law of amnesty, which will permit political prisoners to come back into society so that we can move on and concentrate in developing the Venezuelan economy. There will be people who will follow the example of the Russian ambassador to the United Nations and will continue complaining about the past, that previous governments were inefficient, instead of nurturing recently acquired efficiency. Relations with the United States will now be centered through Chief of Mission Laura Dogo. She will certainly become a focus of national attention as Donald Trump and Marco Rubio are expected to divert back into domestic United States issues or other international priorities for the United States, such as China, as Iran. The entrance of Laura Dogo as chief of United States mission into Venezuela, concludes the constant reference from the United States into Venezuela on a daily basis, as they already have somebody on the ground to conduct business with President Delcy Rodriguez and hopefully with Foreign Minister Ivan Gil, who is a well-known adversary of the United States and continues treating Venezuelan diplomacy as if we were still in former Nicolás Maduro dictatorship. Presidency of Delcy Rodriguez is quite different. The Russians have already noticed the shift, and ultimately Venezuelans will likely support presidency of Delcy Rodriguez as she is applying many of the economic proposals that were promised by former President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia. People speak about a transition as they expect early presidential elections, while there are no signs on the executive, legislative, or judiciary power on interpreting Venezuelan constitution in such a way that would allow early elections. President of National Assembly Jorge Rodriguez has promised for this year a debate on the National Electoral Council and electoral procedures. We shall be waiting for such debate to occur. In the meantime, it is premature to ask for immediate inclusion of new political parties, as the entire electoral system of Venezuela is contested and will need reform so that new political parties can be introduced after having approved such reforms. Venezuelan citizens who have never formally been militants in traditional political parties should also have a way to organize themselves rather than be submissive to traditional career politicians who often convey socialist ideas opposite to what acting President Delcy Rodriguez is managing with meritocratic visions of new governance.